Welcome into the first episode of Regenerating Degenerations. My name is Tori Krager, as everyone on here knows. What I want to do here is create a narrative of people helping people and just create a aspect of help from perspective, not from authority, and from actual experience and not just research. And which means there's a lot of experiences that I can't help with, which is why I want to make sure that people out there are listening and sharing their experiences so we can all help whoever we can help as we're going through all this, right? It's funny because it does come down to shared experiences, but at the same time, we go through them at different rates and different paths and different everything. So it does come down to, even if you have a shared experience, it doesn't mean the ceiling was the same for that person. It doesn't mean that everything works out the same mentally for that person and everything like that. And we all go through it at different parts in our life too. And that's just kind of what I want to focus on with a lot of this and just help people helping people, right? For me personally, I was someone that after I became an adult, I put myself at my own rock bottom. I had decent experiences after I got out of high school and decided to take a different path than I should have. And I created my own little spot that I landed in that just made it to where I would like to use my experiences that I've used in my own life to help people that are going through them currently, or to, put perspective on people that have never dealt with something like that before, so that way they understand what it's like for people that have gone through stuff like that, or maybe even a perspective so people can help people in experiences they haven't even gone through themselves. And so that's kind of what my mission will be throughout all of this, is just creating it so we're all more open with each other and more helpful with each other, and wanting to make sure that we're actually looking to take care of each other. When I say I had to make something out of my life from rock bottom, it's very true, but it wasn't where I was started at either. I'll get into that in a little bit, but it does let me know that, with those struggles that I struggled with, that the most alone we'll ever feel is going to be in our own heads. And that if all we have is our own heads to think about with all of this, then we're never going to get the help that we actually need. And in hopes of my voice being out there saying that I needed to get help and that I struggled and that I felt like I was on my own and things like that, that will help other people do the same thing that I'm doing right now. So that way we can be together. The regenerating outlook on a healthy society is so important with all of this. We're here to learn together. We're here to grow together. Let's create a perspective of people helping people and everybody love everybody. We all have issues, including myself, and we need to create a community around all of these issues together. One thing that I do like with the based on people helping people is, whenever you have someone in your face telling you got to fix something, you never want to fix it. Whenever you have someone telling you that, hey, I went through this before and this is where it got me, and you create the perspective that I've struggled, I've had that in my life, I've had to do something about that myself, it comes from so much of a better factor opposed to someone just saying, this is what the world says about this. This is what I need to say about it, and this is what I've been through. And you can come in with the facts over feelings. Everyone wants to come in, and everyone's right when they say it. Facts do matter than feelings, but if you just come at me throwing facts instead of actually looking at a situation and what life is going through, then that doesn't matter. And so I do believe in the perspective over authority characteristics with all of this. I do think that perspective over authority creates a more welcoming environment with this type of talking. I think that People are more in tune to take those facts over feelings quotes whenever they come from a moment of perspective opposed to a moment of authority. And in reality, the best people to help with any situation is people that have already been in that situation. The best people to help you out are the people that have already overcome whatever you're going through. That being said, you can't rely on people that are still going through it. If you want someone to help fix your life, but they haven't fixed their own life yet, it doesn't work that way. If you want someone to come in and you want someone to actually coddle you and help you and stuff like that, it doesn't really work that way either. Because most of the people that have gone through the BS are willing to tell you that you have to work your butt off to get actually through the BS. And that's no matter what your struggle was. We all have different struggles. We all got the different ceilings, but no matter what you're going through, no matter what's happening with it all, you have to put in the work. You have to actually have the aspect that I am willing to get through it, and you can't just sit there and live through it. That's what a lot of things do. And my problem was addiction, and that's how a lot of people deal with addictions. They just live through it until they get to a spot where it's either you're not living or you're just doing terrible things. And so, which it is what it is, right? And so we all go through our struggles. We all have different types of struggles. And every single time those struggles hit us, we're all at different ceilings and different viewpoints in our lives. There's times you've probably had the same struggle in your life, but it didn't mean as much to you when you had that struggle because you had already reached it before, or because your life looked different than it did the first time you had the struggle. And that could be for better or for worse. And so all of this kind of comes together. And if we don't really have the aspect of telling people about our struggles and helping each other through our struggles, then we're just going to be stuck on our own trying to struggle through our struggles with no one else. So, all right, I do want everyone to understand the types of struggles and ceilings. I've said it a lot throughout this. Those are two big words that I like a lot. Ceilings is one of my favorite because everyone has a different start point. So you can have a ceiling in one room of your house being 5 feet off the ground. You can have another ceiling off of another room in your house. It's 20 feet off the ground. You've gone through different experiences that make different things happen to you at a different level to where certain things will matter more to you and certain things won't matter quite as much to you, which also comes into play in exactly what I'm talking about here. Because in reality, if my ceiling's here for this and your ceiling's here for this, but you've gone through something else that I haven't gone through, which means our ceilings are flip-flop there, we could actually benefit from having these types of discussions with each other and helping each other go through the things that we need to. It matters in a very big way, I feel, especially to get people out of their own heads and into the real world again. And another big thing with this is something that a lot of people just convince themselves of. I don't know if a lot of people believe it on their own. So I feel like we do this thing where we put our own stories way above everyone else's. Like I went through it and you didn't go through it, which isn't a correct way of looking at life. But I feel like it's human nature to an extent. But most people don't think their life experiences are either enough to share, or they tell people that so they can get away from it, or most people think that it's so extreme that they have to be almost ashamed to share. And I don't think any of that's true. I think every single person in this world has a different viewpoint in a similar world that we live in. Yeah, does every single experience that we go through make us completely individual? Absolutely. But the similarities actually help us get through to the next step. I get it that my story isn't the same as yours. I get it that you have things in your life that are completely different than things happened in my life. It's how our lives are. But that doesn't mean that we can't take some stories that have similarities in them and create a narrative to where we're actually benefiting each other through the negatives that we've had to put each other through. And in reality, you probably wouldn't be as good of a person as you are today if you didn't go through the negatives, because that's what teaches you to be a good person as well. And this all comes down to one big factor for me, and that is the world's not responsible for your happiness. The world's not even here to put happiness in your way. But one thing we can do, if we lean on each other and we actually talk to each other and we want to be a part of each other's lives, is we can put a little bit of positiveness and happiness in there for ourselves. Being content while trying to better yourself is where you will thrive. Don't hate yourself while you're trying to better yourself, which is something I struggle with personally. I'll feel like I'm not good enough and I need to go to that next level. But you have to be content with where you're at if you truly want to better yourself. But don't ever just be complacent with your contentness. You always strive to go forward. And that's really hard in everything we do in life. Whether you're struggling in school, whether you're struggling putting a pipe down, whether you're struggling selling cars, it doesn't matter. Like, there's a million different things that you'll struggle with and you'll just push to the side. There's a million things that you'll struggle with and you'll try to fight through and you'll drive yourself crazy doing it. There's a million things that are just going to be easy for you too. Everyone has different aspects on it all. Big thing with me, this is where I'll kind of go into my story. When I was 18 years old, joined the Air Force. Right out of high school. I wasn't the best kid in high school. I wasn't the best kid and all that. I had positives, but I was very aggressive and things of that nature. And I kind of had a certain route that I almost had to go after high school because of positions I put myself in. And that's all right. Everyone does it to an extent. And so I joined the Air Force right after high school. And another big thing is I don't want to focus on childhood a lot. I want to focus a lot on the stuff that we can control, the stuff that we put in our own ways, the stuff that we have to fight with because I did it. It's that accountability factor. And so right after I joined the Air Force, about a year and a half deep, I turned myself in for using cocaine and pills. I was very, very heavy user. I went from being about 200 pounds to being about 140 pounds. At that time, most of it wasn't cocaine. Most of it was pill related or this other drug called Spice. And I got to the point where I wouldn't get even food for my house. I would go out and just look for these drugs, and a lot of it was very easy to come by. Military, everything was kind of free for the actual medical stuff, and then the actual Spice was a drug that you could go to the smoke shop and buy just straight across the counter. And I let it really control and ruin my life in a lot of different ways. I wasn't doing well in my career in the military. I wasn't being a good husband to my wife. I wasn't doing anything good at all. And one night, I called my first sergeant, and he came in, and I turned myself in for this drug addiction that I had. After that, he got me the help I needed, and all in all, I ended up getting honorably discharged from the Air Force. After that, I had that was when I was 20, up till I was about 22, I was clean. And then my dad got really sick. And my dad passed away, and I relapsed very hard. Like, everyone talks about relapses and stuff, and I get it, man, it sucks, and there's nothing like the death of a parent. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever gone through as an individual, and immediately just dove right back into everything. I was serving and bartending at the time. It was super simple for me to do. And that one lasted about 3 years. I had one time where I went to rehab in the middle of it in California, and then I moved back to South Dakota immediately. and then destroyed my life again because I was really good at it back then, which all of us are sometimes. And after that, a year later, went back to Arizona in 2015. On July 1st, 2015, I put myself in rehab again. My mom brought me to California, and I put myself in rehab. And then, it's all history from there. It's crazy what you can do once you actually have a little bit of time on your hands and with your goals. I legitimately was able to I got lucky. Like, not everyone that goes through what I went through gets as lucky as what I got. I was able to fix my marriage. I'm able to be a father to my children. I have a good career. I've had a good job for this one too. And like, I got extremely lucky and extremely grateful, and I'm blessed, I guess is even a better way of putting that, because I am a religious person. Like, I'm very blessed for the opportunities I have, because I know a lot of people that were in my position did not get to where I'm at. And I do believe in the concept that some people work very hard and don't get as far as some people. And I pray for everyone, and I understand that I'm lucky, which is why I feel like I'm obligated to do this podcast and to do things of this nature, because if I am blessed and I am someone that's gone through it, then I would like to at least be a voice for people that are going through it. So maybe someone will reach out to me, or maybe hearing this, you'll be able to reach out to someone and you'll be able to try to fix your life or get help with your life or anything you need. And it's just important for us all to be there for each other. And I feel like the world sucks at that, man. And I want the world to be better at it. And if we want the world to do something, then we have to be the thing that puts it into the world, right? And so I'm trying to be a voice for that for everyone. Excuse me. The messaging from people just learning off of each other is the best thing that we can do. I don't think that if people would have came to me from an authority way when I was going through it, it would never work. But when someone comes to you and they love you and they cherish just the fact that you're even a person breathing on this earth right now, it matters. And when someone's actually genuinely concerned with the people around them, it matters. And if we all just had a little bit of genuine concern, I do think the world would be a little bit better of a place. I think everyone's very extreme right now. I think the world doesn't want people to get better. The world just wants people to either be right or wrong. I think right or wrong is even a matter of perspective for 90% of the situations people find themselves in. And I just hope that people out there will listen and take into account on what's actually going on around them, and maybe be a voice for someone around them, or maybe even find a voice for themselves to help themselves through whatever they're going through. I truly believe that stuff like this matters, and the world's gotten away from stuff like this. And I hope that me talking about this with you guys tonight helps you do that in your own life in some way, shape, or form. I really appreciate you guys tuning into this tonight, and I hope we have a really good path and journey together as I start this podcast with you. This has been the introduction to Regenerating Degenerations, and I am very grateful for everyone that's came to listen in. Thank you.